Good evening, good evening to everyone. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. This is Tasha. Um, and on Thursdays, we come together for tea time to talk about money matters. So, as I share with you all the time, I'm not going to be before you long. Um, we're scheduled to have a special guest this evening, but unfortunately, there was a little mishap with the schedule. So, we'll reschedule for them to come on another time, but and talk about the subject, which is the wedding. And I've encountered several different people that talk about fiancés wanting to have a wedding, the male, and not necessarily female. And I find that a little strange because most females are the ones that have the wedding. Or I remember that was the dream, was to have a nice wedding or have a big wedding. Well, nowadays it's the male that wants to have a wedding. And as I have shared with you all, the importance of saving, budgeting, being mindful of your income or your being mindful of your money and living below your means and not above your means. And so, with that being said, I can ask the question, what are some reasons as to why not to have a wedding? And one would say it's too expensive. Another one says, I could do something else with that money. I could pay off some debt. I could save. There are a lot of different reasons as to why not to have a wedding. But then why would you have a wedding? What would be your reason for having a wedding? To ensure that your family and friends are there to celebrate in that moment, or to impress people? Wrong reason. But that's what some people have in the back of their mind. That keep up with the Jones mentality. I want to have this big elaborate wedding, invite all my friends just to kind of show off. That's not going to happen at all. Um, just a little bit of research. And back in 2020, the going rate for a wedding in DC was about $28,000. That was $424 per person. 19,142. That's about $290 per person. And in North Carolina, 17,445. That's $264 per person. So my question to you is, you're spending anywhere from 200 plus to $400 per guest. Are they spending that much on their gift to you, or are they um, pouring back into your family? Um, just question, keeping it. So I'm one that I would suggest not having a wedding. Going to the justice of the peace or to the courthouse, getting married, and maybe having a nice reception, or just a nice gathering where you're not having to spend a great deal of money. And let's talk about some things. I know week before last I talked to you all about setting goals. So if your goal is to have a wedding, let's let's look at the breakdown of this wedding. How much it's going to cost. You got flowers, you got a venue for the wedding, and possibly a separate venue for the reception. And then you have to pay for a caterer, transportation to and from one venue to another. There are a lot of different things that are factored into putting a wedding together and having a nice wedding. Um, so these are things to keep in the back of your mind. But then if you're spending $28,000 on a wedding, what else could you do with that money? Like, where could you invest that money? Your 401k, Roth IRA, There are different places that you can put that money. What about getting out of debt, paying off a car, saving up for a nice down payment on a house, or even paying down your house, paying off credit cards? There's so much more that you could do with that money versus putting on or having a wedding. I understand the importance behind it, but not, I would suggest not doing it. That's just my suggestion. I'm only one person. I had shared with the team, or I shared with my fifth graders last week that what the importance of living below your means. And so the importance of doing that is making sure that you are not spending more money than you have coming in. So just keep that in mind. Then, like I said, I wasn't going to be before you all long, so I just want to share that with you all. So until next week, you all enjoy the rest of your evening. And thanks again for joining Tea Time with Tasha.